Hey, how's it going, Hoop fans? This is Vahan Shahbazyan. This is one-on-one with me, NBA updates. Today I'm going to talk about the All-Star reserves and also the players who I think were snubbed. So the Eastern Conference: Joe Johnson, Chris Bosh, Joakim Noah, Roy Hibbert, Paul Millsap, DeMar DeRozan, John Wall. All of them great picks, but I feel like there's one person that's missing on that list. That's Lance Stephenson. I think he should have been ahead of Joe Johnson, and no disrespect to Joe Johnson, but Lance Stephenson is having a great year himself. His all-around numbers are up. Over 7 rebounds for a shooting guard is very good. And then also 5.6 assists is also terrific because the Pacers really need a playmaker, and he's doing it on a consistent basis. He's taking that responsibility to become a better player. He gives the energy and effort every single game. So I'll take Lance Stephenson over Joe Johnson, and his all-around numbers are better than Joe Johnson's. And let's face it, Joe Johnson is only a scorer, and his scoring did get the Nets into the playoffs. He's also had some big clutch moments. But I feel like Lance Stephenson overall is playing better than Joe Johnson. And once again, no disrespect to Joe Johnson. He's a great player, but I'll take Lance Stephenson over him. Now looking at the Western All-Stars: Chris Paul, James Harden, Dirk Nowitzki, Tony Parker, LaMarcus Aldridge, Damian Lillard, and Dwight Howard. And looking at that, I mean, you can't argue with that. All these players are great in their own way. All of them, I think, deserve it. But I feel like there are a few players that are snubbed. One specifically is DeMarcus Cousins. And I don't want to take anything away from any of these players, but I think DeMarcus Cousins should have been in there. Looking at his numbers, 22.6 points per game to go along with 11.6 rebounds a game. He's averaging a double-double to go along with 1.8 steals a game. And that's number one amongst all centers, also 9th overall. And then 3.0 assists a game, which is number 3 amongst centers, and 1.2 blocks a game. Those are really good numbers. Those are all-star worthy numbers. And if you look at his numbers compared to LaMarcus Aldridge's numbers, they're pretty much identical. Just looking at them, they pretty much average the same exact thing. And the only difference is DeMarcus Cousins, his team is struggling, while LaMarcus Aldridge, his team is top of the West. And I think that just makes a huge difference, of course. But to me, I feel like individually, DeMarcus Cousins definitely deserves it. And I don't want to take away anything from Cousins just because his team is struggling. People have to give him credit. People don't understand that this guy individually is playing so well. He's playing like an all-star, but they're just overlooking him because his team is not doing good. And I think that's a little unfair to DeMarcus Cousins. And I'm not saying DeMarcus Cousins should be placed over LaMarcus Aldridge. I actually think Cousins should be in there instead of Nowitzki. Also, no disrespect to Nowitzki also. He definitely deserves it. I think Nowitzki deserves it. But Cousins is having better numbers than Nowitzki. And Nowitzki at age 35, yeah, he's playing really well too. You know, his numbers are great. His team is in the playoffs. But again, the Kings don't get enough national TV time. People don't see this. People don't see what Cousins is doing on the floor. I've watched Cousins a few times. I've seen the things he does on the floor. He makes a huge impact defensively, actually on both ends of the floor. He's mentally into it now. His coach has him focused. He's playing great basketball. And you can't overlook that fact that he's doing great, you know? That's one thing that really irritates me, that some players are getting overlooked because their team is not doing great and because they don't get enough attention on national TV. One player who I don't think deserves to be in there in the Western Conference is Kobe Bryant, but the fans voted him in, so there's nothing you can do about that. So when you look at the reserves, I think I'll put Cousins ahead of Nowitzki. And again, Nowitzki, 35 years old, is playing great basketball, but let's not overlook the numbers that Cousins is putting up. He's putting up LaMarcus Aldridge type of numbers. Just because his team is not succeeding, he doesn't have the talent around him that LaMarcus Aldridge does. So that's the reason why his team is dead last in the West. But individually, DeMarcus Cousins is playing like an all-star. He's playing at an all-star level. And I don't want people to overlook that. And other snubs who didn't get in: Goran Dragic having a great year, carrying that young Suns team to the playoffs. But the reason I think he didn't get in is, of course, there are a lot of great guards in the Western Conference, and you can't really put him over Chris Paul, Harden, or Parker. But Goran Dragic will probably get a chance to get into the reserves because he'll probably replace Chris Paul, who's injured. And also, Kobe Bryant's going to be replaced, but they're probably going to replace him with another guard, which could be Mike Conley. But other than that, I don't have any problems with these players that got chosen. I just feel like Cousins is one who should have been picked over Nowitzki. But even though Nowitzki is in there, I have no problem with it. I think he deserves it. I just feel like Cousins deserves it a little more than Nowitzki did. But again, the picks made by the coaches are still phenomenal. And I don't really have much of a problem. Well, that does it for this episode. I'll see you guys next time. Be sure to ask questions on my Facebook page. Also, subscribe to my YouTube channel. And please follow me on Twitter. And I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.